In a recent poll here on my channel, I asked, does the fear of failure hold you back in your CNC business? And the results were really interesting. Over 60% of people said yes, they believe that fear holds them back in their CNC business. I've talked a lot about how to make things on your CNC and how to sell them and how to build a side hustle, how to build a business. But this poll made me realize there is one big thing that I have not talked about much, and that is self-doubt and the fear of public failure. Self-doubt and fear is something that affects all of us, myself included, and it holds us back from reaching our full potential and reaching our goals. Now, this isn't a rah-rah speech, so don't go anywhere. This isn't a motivational speech that's here today and gone tomorrow. You can do it! I'm gonna give you some tangible things that you can do to overcome these obstacles so you can reach your goals faster. So 5 years ago, when I was starting my woodworking business, I was actively trying to find work. I wasn't even into CNC yet. I was doing more traditional products, building tables, doing different build out, typical standard power tools. And I still had my full-time job at the time. So I was actively trying to find work. One day I got a message from, I would say, an acquaintance, someone that I met at a church function, and they said, hey, I've got a friend that is a woodworker that's about 45 minutes away from you, and they have too much work and they're looking to subcontract some out. He put me in touch with the other woodworker and we started talking. So Jeremy said, hey, I got a project for you. I can't get to in time. The client needs it faster. And what it was 2 floating nightstands. Honestly, my skills weren't that good. They were probably better than I thought they were. I'd built and sold several small projects, but nothing like for someone else. That was nerve-wracking I wasn't entirely confident in my skills. So this first job that he gave me was kind of my test run. So he sent me the drawings and I just had to build them to those drawings. So long story short, I ended up building these 2. It took me forever. It took me like 20 hours to build these things. And all it was like a box, right? This should have took a couple hours to build. Looking back on it now, I mean, it's completely ridiculous that it took me that long. But it was being a perfectionist, trying to make a good impression. But I'll be honest, a lot of it was just the fear of not knowing if it was going to be good enough. Now, Jeremy is an excellent, excellent woodworker and still is to this day. And, the pressure of building up to his standards, I made sure like the smallest little detail like really stood out to me and kept me from progressing, right? So I doubted myself the entire time. I doubted my ability. So fast forward, I got them done, got the projects done. I drove 45 minutes to deliver them to Jeremy. And the whole time I'm thinking like, oh gosh, he's gonna hate these things. We're just gonna throw them in the trash and he's gonna build them. I just wasted his time, wasted my time, wasted my money. All those thoughts are going through my head. But we get there, I open the trunk, and Jeremy looks at them and inspects them, and he's like, good job, they look great. I think the customer will love them. And I was like, really? Like, I did not think it was gonna go that way at all. So the next day I got a text saying, client loved them, would you like another job? I was like, okay, sure, what are you thinking? So the jobs just started snowballing, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, the biggest job I ended up doing for Jeremy was a entertainment center, full built-in entertainment center that we delivered to the client's house and installed. So one day he approached me with this project, and if you've been around the channel for any amount of time, you know that I made a ton of these wooden cracker trays. And this is where that opportunity came from. So Jeremy was approached by a company called Harp Design Co., which is in Waco, Texas. So if you don't know who Harp Design Co. is, Clint Harp, the owner, along with his wife, of that business is Chip and Joanna Gaines' woodworker. And he is seen on the HGTV show Fixer Upper. So anytime Joanna needed a table built for a remodel, Clint Harp is the one that would build it. And they wanted a custom designed cracker tray. So Jeremy doesn't have a CNC. So he turned to me and said, hey, Andy, can you make something like this? And I said, sure. So we ended up selling over 700 of these cracker trays to them. that they sold in their retail store and online. And we also made several other projects. It started with the cracker trays, and then it just expanded out from there. They were always looking for unique custom items for their shops. So let me put it this way. I almost let fear and self-doubt keep me from building 2 floating nightstands that I lost money on, but led to designing and selling thousands of dollars of CNC products to someone that stands on the shoulders of Chip and Joanna Gaines. As Andrew, my video editor, said when we were planning this video, he said that the fear of failure keeps you from starting, and self-doubt creeps in when you've already started and stops or slows progress. And this is so true in my story that I just shared. I necessarily didn't have the fear of failure of starting. I think I was okay with jumping in, but self-doubt was huge, and that's what slowed everything down. It took 10 times longer than it should have. I eventually got to my goal, but self-doubt was a real battle there. So why do I call it the fear of public failure? Because most of us, I think, are okay with failing privately. Yes, we may be disappointed, but at the end of the day, we're not embarrassed. And I think that's a key difference there. When we put something out to the public, that is much more intimidating and generates a fear because we don't know how people are going to respond. Fear and doubt leads to hesitation. So how can we overcome these fears and doubts so we don't hesitate? So number one, we need to be able to recognize it in ourselves. Obviously, if we don't recognize these things in ourselves, we can't do anything about it. And the sneaky thing about fear and about doubt is that a lot of it is subconscious and it's sneaky. So here are some common ways that you may see fear and doubt creep up in you. You know, you're hesitant to post a picture to social media of a project. For X, Y, and Z reason, you just can't hit that post button. Or maybe you hesitate to sign up for a craft show. You know, maybe you don't think your products are good enough. Maybe you're just overwhelmed and you just don't know what to do. Or maybe you're just hesitant to operate your CNC. Maybe every time you started a project, you broke something or it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to, and you doubt your abilities. So maybe you identify with one of those hesitations. What can we do to overcome that hesitation, right? We've identified it now. How can we overcome it? And I think the first thing we need to do is accept that failure isn't the end. Failure is simply a stepping stone to success. And when we have that mind shift of, oh, it's just starting again with knowledge rather than the end, it is freeing. And you take those mistakes and you stack them on top of each other, and that is what equals success. That's how you reach your goals, is by failing. All right, so maybe we've gotten to the point now where we can accept failure, and that keeps us from being stuck. It unsticks us and gets us going. Now, what is the best way to fail? The best way to fail is to fail on small projects, or fail small is what I like to call it. And that may be on a shrunk down version of a project. That may be just simply trying a new toolpath on a blank piece of MDF. But fail small rather than failing big. This goes back to also failing privately instead of failing publicly. Get your failures done early. You know, failing earlier in the process is better than failing later in the process. Maybe if you're scared to break bits on your CNC, you can do an air pass where you set your Z height 3 inches above your work surface so your bit doesn't even engage with your material. And that way it can go around, it doesn't cut anything. You're like, okay, well now I can get a little closer or a little deeper. And then it goes around, and that's a success. And then, then you get to the actual Z depth and cut your project out. So small steps, failing small to build momentum. So while you're going through this failing small process, it's really important to surround yourself with people that want to see you succeed. So for me personally, I attribute my success to the people that are around me that want to see me succeed. The people around me have had a massive impact on the things that I've accomplished. So once we have people that want to see us succeed around us, it's really important that we ask them and listen for constructive feedback, right? So this is where we go from failing privately to failing publicly, right? We built these people around us that want to see us succeed, give us positive feedback. So it's really important that we only care what the people that want to see us succeed think and our target audience thinks. We don't care about what anybody else outside of that thinks. That's just going to hold us back. So one really important aspect that we need to consider is our why. Why do we want to make things and sell things with our CNC? Is it money? Is it a creative outlet? Is it success, a successful business? Or is it something like praise? You want that feedback. You want people to be like, wow, you're really good at that. All of these reasons are perfectly fine. We may think of them as negative things, but these are great motivations. We need to figure out our why. So what is the difference between people that achieve success and people that don't achieve success, that are unsuccessful? And when I say successful and unsuccessful, I'm talking about their why, right? What they set out to do. Do they achieve it or don't they achieve it? This isn't an umbrella like you're a success or failure. This is a personal thing. So the thing is everybody on the face of the earth faces the fear of failure, the fear of public failure, and self-doubt. And I believe that the difference between people that succeed and people that don't is that those who succeed embrace the feeling of fear and do it anyway. If you don't want to miss more content like this, be sure to head down to the description and sign up for my bi-weekly newsletter. Click this video right here to get inspired by these 5 summer projects that you can make on your CNC. Click right there and I will see you in that video.